Alright, so it's time for another tale from the Dungeon Master. And then we're heading right back in with the Apocalypse Squad. And today's story would be the Legends of the Floating Island. Now this is different than the City in the Sky, because the City in the Sky was this divinely built place for Marcus's order, their clerics, their paladins, their servants, all that. The floating island is this naturally occurring place out in the middle of the ocean, where the island is floating several miles above the surface due to some things I never really got into. Excuse me. But basically, I got the idea from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. So they head to the floating island, and they close the rift because that's what the Apocalypse Squad does. And after they close the rift, this primitive tribe comes up, and they immediately recognize the monk, and they bow down in worship in front of him. Now, the Apocalypse Squad, they're of course confused, but the monk says nothing. Well, they're brought to the home of the tribal chieftain, and he begins weaving a tale of a demonic age invasion centuries in the past, and a warrior who suddenly appeared and pushed the demons back into hell. Now, the squad is like kind of, this seems interesting. And the tribal chieftain tells them about a temple that they can head down and look for answers. But the problem is that this temple has like 6 or 8 locks. I can't remember exactly, but it has some locks, and the keys are in different locations on the island. And I'm essentially pulling zones from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. The mountain, the beach, the jungle, some other ones I can't remember off the top of my head. The idea was I just wanted to show off the island that I created and let them have some low-stake fights. So they go through these zones, and they fight off some of the defenders, as well as some demons, because, of course, there's going to be demons in Hell on Golarion. And they finally get to the temple, and they head inside, and they start seeing murals depicting the warrior fighting the demons, until they finally get to the biggest one, which showed the warrior fighting off the demonic lord and pushing him back into hell. And that warrior looks almost exactly like the monk, like stylized, but it's like they can tell the intent. This is the monk. This is their party member. And the monk finally realized, said to them, like, yeah, this is me. This was my home all those ages ago. So, of course, the party's like, well, is there anything here we can use to find out your true name? And the monk's like, hey, I abandoned my name long before this, but you might be able to find some sympathetic links to me. So they all start looking around, and they find some chapters in his life, including a lost love that, as they find out, was sacrificed to bring the demonic horde through in the first place. And as they realize that this set the monk off, so where he went into hiding and he began training in martial arts, preparing for battle. And as the monk tells the story, he ended up having to fight some of his own people, cultists, that had made a deal with the demon lord for power if they would just open the gates of hell. And of course, after saving their home, the monk began his crusade against the forces of darkness, beginning making his forays into hell, becoming the scourge that they feared, before they finally engraved those demonic runes into him and captured him and locked him in the coffin that they found him in at the beginning of the adventure. So while Dorgal is spending his time comforting the monk, is like, hey, I know this was terrible and whatnot, the rest of the magic using party, they're collecting up anything they can to kind of use as sympathetic links. Because if you remember anything about magic in these games, there's active magic, sympathetic magic, etc. And they figured they can use sympathetic magic to try and find some links to the monk's true name. Now, as this was one of my whole linking stories to just kind of push the overall plot forward, I didn't really have this giant battling adventure going on, so I had the Marcus's order come and cleanse the island and create their rift network. But that's it for now. So look forward to the next part. Until then, take care.